Hey, it's Aaron Stelle here with West. I'm getting the great opportunity to sit down with Justin Harnish here with Harnish Properties. He's been the number one agent in the Portland market and actually all of Oregon for 9 out of the last 10 years. So obviously he's doing some things really right. And I'm excited just to talk to him about, what it is that he does in his business, how he continues to stay on top. And then, of course, what it really comes down to is how he continuously keeps a great relationship with all of his clients so they come back to him year after year. So thanks for being with me, Justin.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So let's start off, with a very simple question. You've been the number one agent in Oregon now 9 out of the last 10 years. What happened with that 1 year?
Oh, the
No,
1
I'm
year.
just
No,
kidding.
actually, it was like a $1 million difference between me and the other agent, but it was kind of funny.
No.
People ask that question all the time. Actually, it's kind of funny.
No, so more importantly, what is it that you do to continue to stay on top? Like, what is it you do for your clients? What is it you do, from a marketing standpoint? How do you differentiate yourself to continue to stay at this level?
Well, I think the most powerful thing that we have in our arsenal is our team and the people that work with us. We're a team of 4 people who do a very high volume of real estate. We're very efficient, we're very effective, we're great communicators, and we work very hard at consistency. And consistency to me, is defined as setting your plan and executing it. And if you don't execute your plan, then you failed and you haven't done what you've said you're going to do. Results come from the execution of the plan. So there's a lot of noise out there. People always say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Let's try this. Let's try that. I suggest this. I'll suggest that. And yeah, we'll look at that. And if it's something that is reasonable or we think that it fits into our plan, then we might look at it. But if you look at what we've done over the last 10 years, it's the execution of our plan because we know it works. Right. And so the results are there, so we know that plan works. So we really have a very strong marketing plan. We've got a great global outreach. We've got a great national outreach. We're very much a local to global company. We're connected globally through a company called Leverage Global Partners, which is a partnership that we have that connects independent firms across the world as if they were a large conglomerate.
Gotcha. Very cool. So, one of the things that we see here in the marketing and tech world is constantly people wanting to add in shiny objects. You just mentioned that you like to just work your plan and stick to your plan. But I've also, I've had the privilege to see a lot of your marketing and do some really high-end things. Like, what are the things that you've done that have really evolved your marketing, that have evolved your plans, and I don't know if completely revamped what you're doing, but at least added pieces to the things that you've been doing?
Well, of course, over the decade, we've evolved, as you said. We have changed. We have added. We have moved with the technology and with the way that things are flowing and where things are going. So it's not that we have the same plan from 10 years ago. Certainly, that's not the case. But as we evolve through it, the shiny objects keep coming at you harder, faster, bigger, and it's really just taking a hard look at that and saying, is that something that is going to benefit my clients, or is it going to benefit me? And what I have found that in our plans and in our marketing and in the way that we work and the way that we execute, is it's not about us, right? And I like, for example, our social media strategy. Our social media strategy is very, very intentional. We don't go out and talk about ourselves. We don't go out and say, hey, look at what we're doing today, and look at the lunch that we're having, and look at the boat that I'm in. It is how can we push our clients' houses, the products that we are selling, to the masses and focus on selling real estate. And so we don't believe in the ego of real estate where we are literally talking about ourselves all the time and the successes that we've had. We believe in selling real estate. That's our function, and that's what we do.
Right. That you bring up an interesting point. So one of the things that you guys have been able to do is, you sell more houses on the lake by far than anyone else. A 3-to-1, 4-to-1 margin over any other agent. And yet, when we look at your marketing, when I see your marketing, you don't really trumpet that out there. That's not what you lead with. So what is it, if you're not out there, just talking about being the leader on the lake, that you're doing to keep having these clients that are constantly coming back to you? Like, what is it that's different about your approach?
Well, as I just said, I believe you can sit there and say all day that you're the market leader in some market, or you can say you're the market leader in the entire market. Right. You can say any of those things all day long. And I guess if you say it enough, somebody's going to believe you. Right. But at the same time, if the results don't back that up, then people don't believe it. Right. And over time, they're not going to come back to you. They're just going to look at you as somebody who's just blowing smoke. Right. And so at the end of the day, what we truly hang our hat on is results. We get it done. We do it every time. Year after year, we've been successful because of the execution of our plan, because of the focus of our marketing plan, and because of the focus of our business. We believe that the results matter, and so we've always said, thank you to the clients that come back year after year. Thank you for making us number one. Right. But at the same time, we're not sitting there saying, "Hey, look at us, we're number one." Great. I don't get an award at the end of the year. I mean, it's to me, it's a nice personal pat on the back, but move on to the next one. Right. And move on to the next year. We got to keep going. We got to look around the corner. What's going to happen in the marketplace? What's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? And so we're thinking more long-range planning and strategic planning as we look at now a potentially shifting market. So now we have to think differently. Where 10 years ago we were thinking, okay, where's the market going? 5 years ago, is it going to keep going? 3 years ago, how much longer can we go? I mean, it's sort of like that. And now we're thinking, okay, what's the next step? Where's it going to go? Where are we going to think? We don't have enough time to sit and pat ourselves on the back.
Right on. So you mentioned the shifting market. One thing that you've done very well is establish yourself in the luxury market space. What are you seeing right now? Like, where is it going?
Well, people perceive us as to be the luxury brand in the area. We work with, we have a $200,000 condominium for sale. We have, $8 million homes for sale. So we work with everybody and we give everybody the same treatment. And so we really want to make that clear that we do treat all of our clients the same, and we pride ourselves on that. And that again is a client retention tool. Yeah. Because if you treat a $200,000 condo like any different, then they're not going to come back to you as they grow and as they branch out. So we're very careful about that, and we're proud to do that. As far as the luxury space goes, it's still moving pretty strongly. What we're going to start to see, I believe, is an inventory shift. We're going to see more inventory. We're going to see more listings, which is longer days on market, and then that's a little bit of the pressure to soften prices a bit. So I think that will probably be the trend. I think it's going to be a slow trend, but I think it's going to be the trend.
Very cool. So if we're talking about that, you obviously, you mentioned you work with everything. So luxury is kind of what you've been branded, but you've worked with everything in between. As you're going through these properties and dealing with these different types of clients, how do you analyze the different needs, and what is it that you do? Is there any difference between them, or is it literally exactly the same?
Well, people are people, right? No matter what walk of life they come from, everybody has a different story. So that means every house has a different story. And so really you have to walk in and assess the situation. Is it a lifestyle change? Is it a marital change? Is it a death in the family? Is it a job change? What is it? And then within that parameter, everybody has an incredibly different situation. Right. And so really there's no way to put into a box that the luxury people are X and the middle market is Y. And there's really no way to do that. I mean, that would be almost, it's sort of trying to put people in a box and say that this person, because they dress this way, is this. It's literally every situation is very, very different. Every person's different. That's the beautiful thing about this job, is you get to meet all these incredible people. You get to see these incredible situations. You get to see how people get through certain situations, be it successful or the opposite. And so, and then the house comes with that, right? And so the house it really takes on the personality of the seller. Right. And so it's our job to manage the personalities, manage the situation, at the same time as get the house prepared, ready to sell, and bring it to market and put it in its best light. So, I love doing it because I love seeing homes. I love seeing different properties. I love different views. I love different, and everything is different.
Right.
But the people are really what's the exciting part, because I've met some unbelievable people along the way, and I've seen some unbelievable houses.
Yeah.
And I'm excited every time I go into a different house, because it's a different situation. It's a different thing to market. It's a different person to work with. So really, it's one of those things that no day is the same.
Right.
Which is a good thing.
So you mentioned you've been in a lot of houses and you've seen a lot of really cool houses. And I know picking out one thing that you've seen may be a little bit difficult. But if you were giving me, like, say, the top 3 things, or functional, cool tech, what is the coolest thing you've seen, or the top 3 cool things you've seen, maybe just in the last 12 months?
Hard to say, because they're so everything is so different. But I would say the coolest thing in a house that I have found, and I may answer this question differently 10 years ago.
Okay.
The coolest thing that I have found, maybe it's because now I've got an 11 and 9-year-old, and my eyes are different, my worldview is different, but the tech stuff isn't as cool to me anymore.
Okay.
It used to be really cool, and then I put it in my house, and I was like, it's cool. It makes life easier, but at the same time, just give me a switch.
Right.
So the tech stuff is fun, and it could be very cool on a big scale. I mean, you can do some really incredible things, but it's become normal. You can get it anywhere. I think the coolest thing in a house is absolute functionality. And when you walk into a house, I don't care if it's traditional, if it's lodgy, if it's contemporary, however it may be, but if the house is totally functional and livable and makes your life easier and your family's life easier, and everybody has their own space, but you have a big common area to gather in, I think functionality is the coolest thing you can do. So, I've seen some incredible pools, I've seen some incredible showers, I've seen some incredible things, and that stuff is fun, and that has its place, because it's the sexy part of the job, and it's the sexy part of the industry. But at the same time, at the end of the day, give me a really functional home, and I'll land on it every time.
So are you, like, as you're out there, are you starting to see, especially with, like, the new construction, everything that's going on right now, are you seeing a shift toward more functionality versus just flash?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the market. I think that certain builders, production builders, have a plan. They like that plan. They'll find lots that fit that plan, and they'll build that house. And that's completely a margin thing that they can. It's a margin play. They can. They know what they're going to make, and they can do that. So that has its place. But I think that builders are really, the great room space is getting bigger and getting wider. But I think there's a little bit of a shift back to have a little less space where it's all common area.
Yep.
And I like Californians, for example. I always warn Californians when they come up here. They say, hey, you know what? We live in 1,500 square feet, and there's 4 of us, and we love it.
Yeah.
The first thing I say is, you're outside 10 months a year, 11 months a year. We're inside 9 months a year. You need more space, you need more separation of space, and you need more common spaces where you can gather. So it depends on what the situation is, who the person is,
right,
and all of that. But the builders, I think, are starting to, or have done a very nice job of cluing into what the marketplace is looking for. But everybody's kind of doing the modern transitional type of thing, and that's incredibly popular. But that stuff sways and in and out, and we'll see what's next.
That's cool. And that's one thing I hadn't really thought of, is something like, weather does make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have thought of the fact that, like, yeah, it's 1,500 square feet doesn't feel small when you can go outside anytime you want to. Where here, I mean, we're talking about a gray, rainy day right now. There's no way we're going to be going and hanging out in the backyard or the back patio, so we do need that inside space.
Mm-hmm.
If you were giving one piece of advice to somebody that is, moving to Oregon, and I realize that this is a very general question because everybody's got their specific needs. But what would be those things that you would send out to potential clients as hey, make sure you pay attention to this, or are there a couple of them?
That's a hard question to answer because again, it's situational to what each person's coming up. I mean, this weekend we've got two sets of buyers coming in, one from LA and one from the Bay Area, and they'll be completely different in what they're looking for. And that's just sort of their upbringing and their situation in Palo Alto and then their situation in LA. And so even though they're California, they're two very different Californias. So they're two very different people. One is a single woman and with two kids, and the other is a family of four. And so you just have a very different need, a very different sort of. They come into Oregon thinking that Oregon is this, and that's the thing I think that would probably be the answer to the question. Oregon isn't what you think it is until you get here. Everybody thinks that they can get here and they can buy an acre for $500,000 and put a house and a pool and all that stuff and be in it, and we're all done. Right? Oregon is an incredibly beautiful place. We have a lot of natural. Our environment is creates all of our natural beauty, and we have an incredible lifestyle up here. But I think you have to get here and immerse yourself into the community to figure out what Oregon is, what Portland is, what Lake Oswego is, what West Lynn is. I mean, you got to get here and really figure it out for yourself. It's not the Wild West like the people on the East Coast think it is. It's a sophisticated place with casual elegance that is about spending time outside and enjoying natural beauty. And I think that people in California don't realize that, but they do realize that, right? And so the reality actually is, Oregon is this incredible place where I can come up and do whatever I want outside and do all that. And that's true. But you got to live here to figure out how to do that, and you have to make yourself do that. I mean, how many people live in our area who don't go to the beach, who don't go to the mountain, who don't take advantage of the things that are an hour away from us? Right. I mean, it's you kind of take it for granted. Well, the Californians come up and they say, I'm going to do all that stuff. Well, then once they get here, they get busy and they do that? So it's just it's situational. Yeah.
Well, I know as busy as you are, that you have a lot on your plate. So I appreciate you taking some time to sit down with me. And, if people want to get in touch with you and do want to have a conversation, what's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
Just give us a call at the office or send an email. If you go onto the website and send an email to Harnish and Harnish Properties, it goes directly to me. I answer all our emails, and our team answers the phone, and we're very easy to reach. We pride ourselves on being accessible.
Fantastic. So, well, thank you very much.
You got it. Thank you.